this shit in your life.
Our man, Greg Burnham, along with his partner in crime, Marcus Williams, they have been doing a series called Tuskegee Heirs for the past few years. And this time, we have a supersized treat for you because Dani actually read it too.
Usually, is it really a supersized treat? I feel like this is a mediocre sized treat.
Why is that?
Because it's me.
No. I mean, it might be smaller in stature, but it's no less important or big or hype. Like,
was that a short joke?
No.
That was a short joke.
That was not a shot. What are you talking about? I would never do that to you. I
Yes,
love you.
Was. Alright.
So, Tuskegee Heirs, Flames of Destiny. Nobody does black folks like Marcus Williams. He brings such oomph to it, and I love it. Basic rundown about the series. Tuskegee Heirs is a futuristic sci-fi adventure that follows a squadron of young, gifted aviators who are forced to become Earth's last line of defense against a menacing race of artificially intelligent villains bent on destroying civilization. And if that sounds like Power Rangers and Voltron, congratulations, your brain works. Obviously, that was by design. That is not a shot at the dynamic duo, but this is most definitely black kids being Power Rangers / Voltron. If you know me for even half a second, it's no secret as to why I would want to read this so much. But Dani, what did you think about it?
I thought the art was especially good. I really liked the art.
Yeah,
Definitely my favorite part. It's very a distinct style, but it still feels very comic book, anime-esque. You can definitely tell it belongs in the category, but it's very distinct, and obviously they're well-drawn black characters, which is just amazing. Because it's always awkward when it's they're supposed to be black, but just the fact that they don't all have straight hair or they don't all have a shaved head, because I don't know, no one knows how to draw afro-textured hair.
Mm-mm.
Even the colors, I feel like the colors are really good, especially for the type of story it was. I think it's really important because the color story kind of sets the tone, how you feel about what's happening. It's drastically different from what was the other one we read? I know what it's called, but I don't remember.
Common America?
Yeah, I was gonna say it backwards. See?
America Common.
Yeah, that's why I was I know that's wrong, but I feel like that's it. See, there you go. But yeah, not just the style, but the colors are drastically different. I like that. Are we in spoiler territory?
I want to stay on the art for just a little bit longer since you touched on it. Something I hate that from a lot of comics today is that everything just looks so blah. I'm supposed to look at this as if these things were actually moving, and everything looks so alive and so dynamic. That is in part due to the coloring. That is part due. I don't even know what that is. That is partially due to the way that they express themselves, and I definitely love how much of individuals these 5 kids are. Really everybody, but definitely our core 5 cast. And to touch a little bit more on what you said about how good they nail drawing black people, all the 5 young pilots, they're all fully black, I believe, but none of them look the same. They all have different skin tones, different hair textures, hairstyles.
Yeah, that's the other thing, because it's you either get the images, in some art, you get it where it's they just don't quite have the features right, or you get the other end of the spectrum where they try to have the very distinct features, but then every character they draw just looks like that same face.
Yeah.
It's never anywhere in between. But yeah, you're right. Each of the characters is very distinct with their faces, their hair. They're all obviously different heights, and it's just interesting because they look like people, which is kind of what they're supposed to look like, I guess. But
who'd imagine? But but yeah, it is really good. The art really comes alive here, and I even down to when it comes to their mentor, Colonel Mars, and I'm an idiot because I haven't even named the 5 main characters yet. I'll get to that in a second. But their mentor / leader, Colonel Mars, he definitely looks like 85 different black men that I've seen in my own life. He almost looks like a younger version of my dad.
Right. He looks like he's gonna grow up to be that old cat in the neighborhood.
Oh yeah.
Just a real player and like
Mhm.
always has something to say. He's just like, oh man, come on.
Yeah. He
Stop messing with me, old man. Yeah,
he
that's what he looks
definitely he definitely looks like that Vietnam vet who came home after the war and like opened up like a restaurant or a barber shop or something, and he just been like a
Yeah.
staple in the hood, just there, just
Yeah.
knowing everybody.
And he can talk.
Say what?
And he can talk. He's
Oh yeah,
charismatic.
yeah, definitely. He was rapping before rap was a thing, most definitely.
We definitely got sidetracked. This is why we had to make it this old thing. Cause what are we even talking about? Do y'all know? We don't know.
Hey, help us figure it out.
Send help.
SOS, please. So, okay, I'm back. But yeah, we have Ayana, Omar, Genesis, Slip, and newcomer to the team, Abel. I definitely feel like Genesis is my favorite. Genesis is a dark brown skinned girl with glasses and the best locks you've ever seen on a teenage girl. I know adults who don't have hair that look that good. She's a bit on the weeb nerdy side, but is cute. You know, she's all about cats. She has her little geek out moments and stuff, but she's no less capable than the rest of the crew. And then my next favorite is Omar, who, if Colonel Mars is the old player, then Omar's that, but the young version. He just that cool, calm dude who he don't move till he ready to move, but when he move, you gonna know he moved. Yeah, what about you? Who do you like the most out of the crew?
I don't know enough about their personalities to be like, definitely that one. But I think that they're all interesting enough. I like them all.
Okay, fair point.
Yeah, but I do like Genesis' hair the most.
Yeah.
Like, her hair is amazing.
Definitely. But that's a fair point. Since we are only talking about the first issue, their personalities gets flushed out a lot more in issues to come, which is actually a criticism I had about this first issue. Once I say this, we can kind of get into spoilers more. I did kind of get the feeling that the dialogue was a little too wordy and they sounded just a little too adult. Now, keep in mind, this is far into the future, the year 2096, I believe, and all 5 of these kids are aviators. They are pilots, and there actually are story-specific reasons as to why that is and why they kind of talk like that. But this first issue, the dialogue did kind of give me that first issue feel. You know, when when someone first writes something, it's like, okay, you haven't really defined exactly how each person talks yet. They're still coming into their actual personalities. You even see this in shows sometimes. You see some characters and their personality really won't congeal until they're a good few episodes in. I mean, and that's fine. It was kind of a thing here, but it was not so serious a problem that it took me out of the story forever. I just noticed it. But it gets better. It gets better.
I would probably agree that it's a little wordy, especially because, I mean, it is a comic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, since you do have the images, you don't necessarily need as much of the exposition as you do in like a written, a book that's just words.
Right.
A not comic, right?
A not comic, yes.
I could just say a book, I guess, even though this is technically a book too. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm basically saying that, you have pictures, so you don't need as many words. So I think I would agree with that. I also would say, I mean, I like reading comics, so I guess it doesn't bother me that much, but it is a little, it feels like there's a lot of words, but they're not really saying a whole lot. You get, like, introduced to the characters, but you don't really know very much about them. You also get introduced to the antagonist, but you don't really know anything about that. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of introductions, but it is the first issue, so it's not like that's a bad thing. It's just if you have a short attention span, or, like, I'm like that sometimes where I'll read something, the first chapter is not, like, giving me what I want, and I'll be like, it's not even worth reading. Second issue.
Well, damn.
But I mean, I'm sure it gets, like you said, it gets better. It's just, the first issue of a comic. It's kind of how it is, I guess. It depends on the reader. Like, I know a lot of people wouldn't like the issue if it didn't have as much of the action in it, right? If it had too much of the introductions. So I don't think that what they did with the issue was wrong. It's just a matter of personal taste.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and it does have a nice balance even when stuff is being really wordy. I mean, they go from doing test pilot procedures to someone getting shot down to getting briefed on a rescue mission in a different part of the country, and then you find out, okay, we've been driving these busted up jalopies by their standards, and then they fast forward, here's a jet that can turn into a mech. Here's a Gundam. Merry Christmas.
And that's when I checked out of the series. But don't get me wrong, it's good, but as no one here knows, because I don't think we've ever explicitly talked about mechs, I don't like mechs. I don't like them. I'm like a sci-fi nerd, and I hate mech. I don't know why, okay? But I'm just not a mech person.
Remember when I showed you Evangelion?
Yeah, but didn't we watch like 3 minutes or something? It's like, this is dumb.
We watched at least the first 4 episodes, and you were just like, I'm never watching this again.
I didn't know what was going on, and I got irritated. It doesn't work. I have to be in the mood. But even like, I've been really into the whole transfer to another world animes and stuff. And there's one on Funimation. I think it's called Knights and Magic, and it's like that, but with mechs. And so like I really tried to watch it. Maybe 2 episodes, maybe 3, something like that, and I just checked out. It's like once they get into the mechs and start like fighting and stuff, I'm just like, why? I don't know. What's wrong with me? That's my goal for the end of 2020. I'm gonna learn how to like mechs.
Alright. I can't wait to see how this turns out. But
since we're talking about the mechs,
yeah.
Yes. So yeah, they found out they had their airplanes were actually mechs, and then they're fighting against, I don't know, what are those things? Artificial intelligence or something?
Yeah.
And I think that it was cool. Like, the fight scene wasn't super long or intense or anything. They, basically did like a Dragon Ball Z move and then ran away. Which is great for the first issue, because you can't it's not like they know what they're doing because they've never used them before. So I liked the fact that it was a short fight, I guess. That sounds so bad. Now what I did like was the juxtaposition of the mechs with the artificial intelligence villain. I know we talked about the art earlier, but I really like like I said, I really like the colors in this. So I like the fact that the planes were silver, and then they made the villains the orange, the deep orange, almost a rust color. Any fights that they have is gonna look really interesting. Like, it'll look really cool.
Definitely from an action and artistic standpoint, it is the highlight of this issue. Those few pages, and like you said, it is short, but it definitely gets the point across, and it looks so good doing it. There's also a nice amount of, I don't know the exact phrase I'm looking for, but like power, because in a lot of stuff you see things happening, but you really don't get a scope of what's happening. It's hard to describe if you've never seen it or never watched anything do that, but you definitely get to feel like, if this was happening in real life, everything would be fucked up.
It's done very well. Like, it's not sloppy at all. Like, I feel like it was probably, like you said, the best aspect of it, even with like the dialogue and stuff. Once they got to the climax of this issue, it was really like smooth at that point. I think I also really liked the fact that the older woman, what is she, a congressperson or
Senator Shields.
Okay, yeah, Senator, whatever. she's clearly an older woman.
Yeah.
And she takes the controls. First of all, she jumps out of the building with Ayana, right? Which is awesome. Can we all just jump out of buildings fearlessly in the planes like that? Like, no, let's not do that. But I'm just saying, it was really cool. And then she took over the controls, and she was the one that set up the mech. So I like that part, because I thought it was It's just cool because it's always like younger kids in comics that are doing the adventure stuff. Like it's always, 16, 18. Once they get to like 30, they're like, I'm so old, which just feels amazing being 31, just reading all that shit. So I always think it's cool. I always think it's cool when there's older characters integrated into the story like that, where they're actually active. Like, yeah, they went to save her, but she didn't just literally take a back seat and like watches everything happen. So
Right, yeah, that's actually a good point. Even though this is very much a kids saving the world type thing, the adults aren't completely useless.
yeah, and she had blue lipstick, which is cool.
Yes, she did.
Anyway, that's one of my main complaints with like anime and manga, where it's like I feel like a manga about junior high students. Why are
Hmm.
you out at 2 o'clock in the morning? There's no way. I feel like if I was like 14 and I had two windows in my room, one that led out to the front yard, like I could have probably snuck out, and I feel like I could have snuck out maybe once or twice, and then like after that, my mom would have like known about it. You know what I mean? Like she didn't have to catch me or anything. She just would, cause that's what parents do. They just know shit. And you're like, I didn't even. I put everything away. I cleaned up. What do you mean you know? But they just know. Like there's no possible way. Anyway, I'm just saying that always bothers me because adults do exist.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, why does everything have to turn into Ed, Ed, and Eddie? And here we have a senator jumping into a jet and turning it into a mech, and then knocking out a AI robot evil thing. Because, of course.
Exactly.
Oh my god. Also, I can't. It would be criminal of me not to compliment the design of the mechs. I am the exact opposite of Dani in this regard. I love me a good mech show. I'm super 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 glad that they did not take the lazy route in just making this look like a carbon copy of one of those. This is not the Megazord. This is not the RX-78 Gundam. The Mustangs are their own mechs, and they
Yeah.
are awesome.
You can tell that it is a jet. Like even in the
Yeah.
Gundam form. The Gundam.
You might as well just
Even
call it
in
the
the mech
Gundam form.
form. When it's in the mech form, you can still tell that it came from a jet. Like maybe you
Hmm.
wouldn't immediately, but if you like looked at it long enough, I feel like you would get it because it's just so like sharp and streamlined. It looks very clean and modern. The same way like, you would expect something from, that time to look like, even though it's not like we would ever be able to tell from here, but you know what I'm saying. It looks very much like it came from that plane. Because that's another issue. Sometimes you're like watching stuff with mechs and you're like, where the fuck were they storing that? Like, how did it? Oh, you mean the ground just opens up and
Hmm.
nothing collapsed? All that kind of stuff. Where you're like, none of that makes sense because if there's a house right there, they would need plumbing. Maybe I'm the only person that thinks like that, but you know, inconsistencies do make me mad. So, yeah, I like the fact that it does look like a plane.
One more thing before we close. It also has some educational moments because the Tuskegee Heirs are definitely inspired by the real life Tuskegee Air men from World War II, which was a real life, not Air Force, because I don't think there was an Air Force at the time, but they were all an all black squadron of aviators. And this is all referenced in this series, from the design of the planes that they're flying in at first to the designs of their uniforms. It's all paying homage to actual black American history. And so if you want to give this to your kids and give them some good action, some good adventure, and teach them a little bit about black history, this is a really good way to do that. It never feels like it's actually done in a good way, in my opinion.
Yeah, because sometimes you read stuff and you're like, okay, okay. You know what it is. It's like you feel like you're talking to the author, and you'd be
Mm.
like done listening
Oh,
20
yeah.
minutes ago. Sometimes it really is like that. You're like, man.
It's like I checked out T minus 15 minutes ago, but I'll go ahead and I'll stop it here. They are currently up to issue 4, and you can get your life reading about the adventures of these 5 lovable little rascals who are about to save the world with mechs that Dani hates. This book is so
Well,
good.
We're only in the last 3 pages, okay?
As I was saying, this book is so good that Dani wasn't even that tilted off of the mechs. Good on you, dynamic duo of Greg Burnham and Marcus Williams. You got a good one. You got a solid one on your hands. Everyone needs to go check out Tuskegee Heirs, Flames of Destiny right now. Just do it. And with that being said, I'm Anna Main.
And I'm Dani Marie.
And we'll talk to y'all later. Deuces.
Bye, y'all.